Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now today I'm sporting the Douglas, a fine old tartan, the Douglas. And this kilt has travelled many miles across the Wirral today because although I'm not working anymore, I'm housebound and pub bound and I don't walk the dog anymore because there's no dog anymore. I thought, I've got itchy feet. I'm going to take myself off all across the wilderness, the Celtic realm. So I did. I walked miles and miles and miles and miles. Uphill, down dale, across the hills and the valleys, down to the water's edge of the Mersey, and the lapping of the Irish Sea went right round the edge of the Wirral Peninsula. Well, not all the way round. I kind of came back into Wallasey Village, place where I was born, and did a lot of trekking, and ended up in two boozers. Yes, two boozers. In the first pub, I had a pint of orange cordial. I know, pick yourselves up off the floor. A pint of orange cordial. I was thirsty because it was a lovely sunny day. I know it's the start of March, but in the sun, it was lovely, it was warm, it was great. It was lusty, full of vigour. So, pint of orange cordial, how much do you think that cost? Well, I'll tell you, £4.40. And that's without ice. Don't ever get ice in these drinks because you don't get as much drink. They put the ice in, don't they? So, but £4.40. Jesus Christ, I'm a whiskey drinker. So I drank that, and then I trekked off again, going uphill to Liscard, and swung round into the Royal Oak, and I had 3 pints of lager. Why am I drinking things other than whiskey? Well, I think whiskey's having an effect upon me. My skin is not so good these days, and it barely fits my body. And with this baggy face, that's quite a shocker. But yeah, I think whiskey's taking its toll. So I've deliberately tried to stay away from it and drink something else. But drinking pints of lager, it takes hours to get down it because I don't drink pints anymore. And hours and hours, and it's only cheap. £4.40 for a pint of orange cordial in the Farmer's Arms. But in the Royal Oak, a pint of Foster's, yes, I know, but it's cheap and nasty and does the job. £2.35. Yeah, £2.35. It's over £2 cheaper than a pint of orange cordial. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I thought, well, I'll have 3 of these then. So I did. And quite some time went by. I did, in all honesty, because I didn't feel in any way, shape or form sort of, slightly tipsy, because lager just doesn't do it. So I had one whiskey, just one little whiskey, a fledgling whiskette, which was lovely, and discovered that the price had gone up for the first time in years, from £4 for a large grouse to £4.20. So it swings and roundabouts, the yin and yang of drinking beverages and boozers. But why am I telling you all this? Well, whilst I was walking, I had the earphones screwed in there, and you think I'd be playing some kind of marching music, some kind of rousing action fare, sort of like, Rambo, that sort of thing. No, it wasn't. For some unknown reason, and I do not know why, on my playlist I thought, oh, there's Ennio Morricone's score for The Island. Yes, The Island from 1980, based on Peter Benchley's novel from 1979. It's there, got it right there. And he did the screenplay for it as well. And it came out in 1980 to absolutely riotously bad reviews. The world, his dog and his barnacles hated this modern day pirate movie. They hated it with a vengeance. I loved it. I think it's an amazing movie. It's all over the show. Tonally, it's completely wacky. Michael Caine plays journalist, a Korean War veteran called Blair Maynard. And he wants to go out into the Bermuda Triangle. Because remember, at that time, the Triangle was infamous with planes and boats and people disappearing. You never hear about it now, do you? No, you don't. And it's like all those stories and all the entire mythology about the Bermuda Triangle has itself vanished into the ether. Before we go any further, ships and planes and stuff still go missing there, but no one ever reports on it anymore. And everyone tries to go like, oh, it's all explained now. They found Flight 19. They found a couple of the Grumman Avenger torpedo bombers. He did find a couple of them, but the mystery's still there. There's still loads of UFO sightings. There's still loads of mystery, sort of wind and tsunami elements and whirlpools and lights and things under the water. Still loads of things which can't be explained. And people go, well, nowadays, see, they find them because they've got transponder beacons and personal locators and all that. Well, they had transponders and that kind of thing way decades and decades ago, during the heyday of all this sort of disappearances. Anyway, back to the film. Blair Maynard wants to go and investigate this. They trip out to the Caribbean as well, like, so, hey, it could be fun. But he gets saddled with his son, Justin, played by Jeffrey Frank. And for the first good third of the movie, it's them travelling out there, crashing a plane, finding a boat, and then going fishing, and then getting caught by David Warner, the great David Warner and his piratical brood who live on this uncharted island. And they've been living there, inbred for centuries, keeping the old buccaneer customs alive. And any boat that comes within their vicinity, yeah, that's where people are going missing. They're getting sliced and diced with things like this. Things like this. And things like this. Here it is. And it's really, really fucking gruesome. So I had the book because obviously Jaws, Peter Benchley, Jaws, and of course they wanted to repeat the success of Jaws. So, well, you got Jaws 2, a couple of years after Jaws itself, and I love that movie, as well, you guys know. And so, you know, Peter, can you do another seafaring yarn with adventure and suspense and tension and thrills? Well, yes, of course I can. So he comes up with the island, and the Uber producers, Richard Zanuck and David Brown, behind the Jaws movies, were made up. Yes, this is going to be great. Well, can you do your screenplay as well? Oh, I'll adapt it. Of course I will. And it does follow the book pretty well. But as I say, this is a film which is about the nastiest bunch of actually quite hysterical pirates, who the ranks are filled with great British thespians. David Warner as John David Now, I think his name is, and you have Don Henderson. You have Colin Jevons, you have, hey, hang on a minute, hey, Frank Middlemass, he lives on a different island. He's not a pirate, but he knows of their existence, and he tips the pirates off when there's going to be like fishermen or a boat, whatever, coming near. He tips them off, and he also sends the unwary into their clutches. Yeah, it's a nice island there, just go and anchor more just off there. Be great, you'll love it. So he's working with them, and he kind of educates them in the ways of the modern world, which they don't really understand at all. But so he's a bad guy. Frank Middlemass is brilliant. Dudley Sutton is great as well. Colin Jevons, as I say, and not British, but an Aussie called Reg Evans is in there as well. Reg Evans he's in Mad Max, and he's in Gallipoli. In Mad Max, he's the train porter when the tow cutter arrives to get the Knight Rider's body. The train comes in and all the bikers are there, and this Reg Evans is going like, no one's on the train. We've come to meet our friend. It says Bubba Zanetti, and he goes, no one got off the train. Just that box over there. It's a coffin, and they go, our friend. Remember the Knight Rider? You look at the night sky, as tow cutter says to him, and hold his face like that, Wonderful. That's Reg Evans. So it's a great cast, and the way it transpires, I'm rushing through this because I have reviewed the film before. It's only because I was playing the music today and something struck me, so I thought I'll talk about this. Any reason to just sit here and gas away to you guys whilst drinking out of his Captain Jack Sparrow mug. Stop. What was I up to? So the film opens with a bunch of well-to-do, well-heeled and well-oiled fishermen, older guys who get off with axes and get their guts and ripped open and their skulls split open and all this. And the pirates will kill the adults, but they take the kids, and they find a girl on board this boat, and they brainwash them and put them into their tribe. They want new blood. They need new genes in their decrepit gene pool. So kids are always caught and brainwashed into the tribe. That's essentially what they are, an ancient tribe, just living into the future, into the modern day. So Blair Maynard and his son Justin go fishing, and they get caught as well. But Blair manages to shoot, a pirate who boards their boat. And then when he wakes up after knocking himself out conveniently, he faces trial by the pirates on the island who've got his son, and he's just like confused as hell. But this mock sort of, ridiculous trial where he can't possibly win, there's no defence for him. One of the pirates is acting as defence for him, but he doesn't give a shit. They say, well, in a weird sort of old custom, which I don't think Peter Benchley really got right, I think he's made this up, that, well, you killed, here's the woman, you killed the woman's man, you now become the new man of this woman. Because again, it's Michael Caine. Maynard, Blair Maynard, not a lot of people know that. They want his sperm as well, because it could be good for the tribe. So he ends up being the torture victim and reluctant, semi-reluctant lover of Angela Punch McGregor, who plays Beth, I think her name is. But throughout the movie, Blair keeps trying to escape, keeps getting caught. He finds out that Frank Middlemas it set them up, and he's a bad guy as well. And he tells them a bit of the backstory. But his son Justin gets brainwashed, along with other kids as well. So he ends up hating his dad and pouring scorn upon him. And anyway, things transpire that a great big sort of, you think it's a university schooner, a frigate of teenagers, but they're actually running cocaine. And the pirates go and get them in a horrific scene. It's also got one of the most absurd yet brilliant sequences where they board this boat, they kill everyone. Knives, axes, shoot them and all that, throw them overboard. But one guy, he comes up like, he's in the those tight 70s little shorts, little skimpy things, and a denim shirt and all that, bit of Chuck Norris going on. But forget Chuck Norris, this guy's Bruce Lee, and doing all the sound effects. He takes on the pirates with martial arts. You do a bit of kung fu on the high seas, and takes a few of them out. But in the end, he gets run through. Now you die. He's going, But then there's one guy up in the top rigging, the big main mast, and David Warner makes Michael Caine's son shoot this guy, and he's going, no, bang, because they've got guns in a really sort of, strange sequence earlier on the mainland. I think they got to Florida. Michael Caine buys his son Justin a gun, as you do, and you see this lad sitting in the front of the car. He's playing with his gun, and Michael Caine's going, you've got to be careful with that. If you shoot someone, it's going to be really bad. You've got to think what you're doing with a gun. You've just fucking bought it, and you let him playing with it. If you hit a speed bump or an armadillo or something, it's going to fucking go off, isn't it? You bought it for him. So David Warner, who's the leader of the tribe of pirates, he wants this lad to be, his surrogate son. And there's another lad who's dead jealous, another lad who's been caught. I think we see him get caught, I remember rightly. And he's been caught before Justin. So he's jealous because he wants to be the top surrogate son. But anyway, so they've got that jealousy going on there. Kill everyone on board this, and sadly, Michael Caine's had to watch all this as well. So he's seen his son commit murder. His son's slipping further and further away from him, of course. But good shot though, son, good shot. But the sun was high in the sky as well, glaring you right in the eye, right in the peepers, and he still took that guy out. Excellent stuff. Anyway, more escape attempts are had, but what Blair does, because he finds the cocaine, so he starts shoving packets of cocaine out, and a Coast Guard cutter called the real one was called Dauntless. I don't know what it's called in the movie. It turns up and they're like, hang on a minute, someone around here is running drugs, but they're not going to arrive. So in another bizarre action scene, he manages to blow up some of the shacks in the village, And the Coast Guard sees this, like sends a little, a launch out with about 6 men on it, and they arrive there, and they all get picked off. The pirates use the kids as decoys, so that they arrive at the village, and this little girl is just there, like, hiya, and the pirates spring out, slit their throats, garrote them, and stab them through, and then get on the launch with one Coast Guard member still there, and they get on, they get to the Coast Guard cutter, and waste everybody on it, and it's grisly as hell. Somehow or other they can use M16s. We see Reg Evans using a bloody M16 trying to get the magazine in it and all that, so I don't know if this other guy on the other island who's been acting as their sort of go-between between the past and the modern world, whether he's trained him with all his weapons. He might say so, I don't quite remember, but anyway, they can use M16s. And they kill all these Coast Guards. They even know how to use a fire extinguisher as an explosive device. They even know how to do that. So they're very crafty. But Michael Caine manages to get there. Frank Middlemiss gets killed with a crossbow bolt by Beth, his pirate wife-to-be. And then she realises, go on, just fuck off then, I've had enough of you. So he manages to get on board as well. And while the pirates are all getting all their booty together, they're playing around with the bodies of these dead Coast Guards, he gets up on the front, back stern, look at the stern, and he finds a Browning M2 50 caliber machine gun with massive box of ammunition fed into it. It's like, and don't forget he's a Korean War veteran, so he knows how to use it. And quickly gets up, springs up, throws the tarpaulin back, gets his hand on the trigger, pulls the slide back, and they're all going, this is where Reg Evans is going, hey. And they all turn around, and he's trying to get the magazine into the M16, fucking failing, like, oh shit. And you get like a seaborne version of the end of The Wild Bunch. Bodies are flying everywhere, blood's going everywhere. There's bottles of like wine and kerosene exploding, and it's carnage. It's brilliant. But by quirk of fate, he doesn't kill his own son. He doesn't kill David Warner either, because they're hidden sort of down below, and they pop up, and like David Warner's going, kill him, and like Justin, his son's going like that. Oh, by the way, spoilers. He's got the gun at Michael Caine. Michael Caine just stood there like that. You can't kill me. I'm your dad. And like he goes, I can't do it. And this other lad springs up and he goes, I can do it. And they have a wrestle on the gun, and it goes and kills this other kid between his eyes. And then you get David Warner takes the kid. Come here, Michael Caine and these two go below decks. There's a hunt and a chase and a fight, and Michael Caine fires a flare pistol into the lead pirate, the only pirate left now, which blows his guts, and he falls tumbling down the decks, and he's dead. And that's it. And then a Coast Guard helicopter arrives, and these two have got a hell of a lot of explaining to do. They really have. But I love the movie. I think it's great good fun. And Ennio Morricone scores it. And this is what I was coming to. I was playing the score. And a lot of complaints about the movie at the time, and probably still to this day, are that when the pirates attack the drug running frigate, schooner, whatever you call it, and then the Coast Guard cutter, it's playing rousing, almost Ernest Corngold, Errol Flynn swashbuckling music, which doesn't fit with the, this is what the critics say, doesn't fit with the violence you see on screen. I beg to differ. I think it works perfectly, but the music does strike an odd note. Why? Because I don't think Ennio Morricone scored those bits. You're hearing the full, complete score. Well, the complete as far as I know it, which only has 10 tracks on it, which is Ennio Morricone's released album score of The Island. It's wonderful. But we know, I've said this so many times now, Morricone scored elements for The Thing and other movies which didn't fit the finished movie. So a lot of these bits get jettisoned, and they put, in John Carpenter's case, John Carpenter himself with Alan Howard put music in there which filled the gaps. And who's to say that hasn't happened in this case as well? That maybe the music he did for the attack scenes, you know, Michael Ritchie directed this movie. Maybe he did not like the music he put in there, or maybe he never did score those bits, because the music for those bits, which you're not going to hear on here, it is way jaunty, and it does strike an odd note really compared to the colourful, chaotic gore and violence and OTT, gratuitous, murderous, barbarous acts you see depicted. It's from Richard Strauss, Ein Heldenleben, which is like a 50 minutes to an hour, depending on what version you look at, symphony. And no, I haven't heard all of it, but I've heard bits of it, and bits of it do appear to be this jaunty, sort of heroic, swashbuckling sort of bombast. So that's what I think has happened. Why do I mention that? Is because I saw on the soundtrack listing on IMDb that's there. So well, that must be it then. So all these complaints from critics that Morricone's score is a hodgepodge, it doesn't really work, it doesn't fit the movie, it's so tonally adverse to what you see on screen, it's ridiculous. They call him a maestro, he's a dildo. Well, he didn't do those bits. He did all the sinister bits, of which there are plenty. Now, before I dry up, fat chance of that. So you've got this is actually the main theme, which is very elegiac and gorgeous and lyrical. They filmed it in Antigua and Tobacco. And the island, it's steamy, sweaty, it's horrible really, but it looks great on film. It's an iconic shot as well of these two sort of mountain peaks of this island. The poster's glorious. I have the film on Blu-ray, and it's got I've got a poster for it as well, of course. Forgot to bring it down, didn't I? But it's a version of that. You can see, the cover's faded there. There's a seaweed encrusted dagger coming out the water with a gnarly fist holding it. It's probably tattooed up the wazoo and back. And that's the poster, but you see the island in the background with its twin peaks. But this lovely lyrical main theme is very Morricone. But then Morricone goes into like a lot of sort of like weird dissonance, tribal stuff. And there's a horror element to this film. The opening scene, the attack scenes on the guys in the boat at the beginning, that's really scary. And the attack on Blair Maynard is pretty scary. The attack on the drug runners is kind of, it's brightly lit, it's gorgeous, but it's the blood-curdling violence, and they just don't give a shit. They even line up all the women, you know, who they haven't killed on the side of the boat, and they're going like, you know, oh, good childbearing hips. But they don't fucking take it. They just shoot them all and push the bodies in the water. They just murder everybody. And some of those girls were all right. So what was wrong with them? You know, you keep Michael Caine. Why did you keep one of them? You know. But the opening scenes and the gore effects are done by Bob Westmoreland does most of the effects for it. The garroting, slit throats, knives going in, bullet holes, that kind of thing. But the opening scene is done by the great Stan Winston, and he's uncredited, but he does the axe go splitting some guy's skull, and another guy's guts coming out, and and a slit throat. He does all those effects. So again, like The Thing, where Rob Bottin was suffering from nervous exhaustion because he couldn't manage all the effects he had to do on this project, and he was working 24/7. He realised, shit, I haven't got time or energy to create the kennel dog sequence, the kennel thing. So they brought in Stan Winston and his team, and he did all of that. So again, in this, see the similarities between this and The Thing, that you've got Stan Winston gets brought in because, for whatever reason, I presume because the other guy had too much on his hands, because Stan Winston goes uncredited. There's a reason for that, but he did the effects for that opening sequence. And then you get Morricone, who scored The Thing, but part of his score gets taken out, doesn't fit the movie. And you've got this sort of perhaps situation here. Maybe he scored those bits, although on the original albums for The Thing, you've got all the bits which he scored, which didn't get used in the movie, as well as in the later versions, you've got John Carpenter's score as well, which is obviously the version to get. But I've got the original vinyl, and it's just Morricone's score. Of course, the bits that weren't used for Morricone's score found their way into The Hateful Eight for Quentin Tarantino, which of course is a frozen Western style version of The Thing with Kurt Russell as well. People trapped in isolation, you can't trust anybody. You know, they've all got hidden agendas. Someone could be a killer, someone could be your friend, but you don't know. So kill them all anyway. Damn it, child's torture. You know. So a lot of similarities there. But listen to this. This is Morricone stuff, and it's sinuous and edgy. I was tramping around all the Wirral with this playing. And I was wondering why I was playing it, but I became addicted to it. So I have reviewed the film, and I have played this music before for you. But, so well, let's do it again. A bunch of bloody lunatics playing Long John fucking Silver. Give me a break. But listen to it, it's really ominous and full of deep sea dirge. And you know, you don't want to fall into these people's hands. They speak their own patois, their own sort of broken English. They speak back to front and backwards. They talk around things, they talk rhyming. And there's a lot of weirdness, but you can tell that these guys, these great British thesps, really love doing it. They don't look well. They're all sweaty and they've grown their hair and they've got braids and tattoos and stuff like. And these guys tread the boards on stage, you know, and they're in British sitcoms and dramas. But to see them out there, they're having a ball, playing about with swords and cutlasses and stabbing people. They're having a great time, especially Don Henderson. He's having a really wonderful time. See, this is things suddenly appearing, you know, oh, there's a little raft here, what's under that? Ah! And there's when he attacked the Coast Guard cutter, you know, he's got some flammable liquid on his head, and they're climbing up the air, the scramble nets and all that, and he sets fire to his own head. It's a terrifying image. Ah, his head's on fire, and he kills a couple of guys and gets a bucket, fucking pours water over his head, like. But they are, when they're having their mock trial and they're going about their usual daily business, it's fun to watch them. It's like an anthropological sort of tale. You know, listen to this. Very unusual. Wood block, reeds, strange flutes and whistles, some kind of tambourine and percussion. But there is a track on this album, which is not in the movie, and which again is pure Morricone. So there's a track I'm going to play for you, which I think is brilliantly addictive. Of course, while I was walking around, I kept, play that one again, and again. And of course, Morricone's famous for using people's voices as an instrument. Look at the Dollars, all his spaghetti westerns, and look at Orca Killer Whale, you know. Eda Del Orso is the soprano singer that he used to use Once Upon a Time in the West, and Orca especially. See, there's moaning and chanting here. But this is the one. This is not in the film. If it is, I apologise, because I haven't watched the film recently, so I don't remember. You know, the murmurings and moaning. It is eerie, isn't it? But here we go. This is the long. Yeah, hang on. No, this isn't the one. This is the longest track on the album. It's only a 34-minute long album anyway, with 10 tracks on it. And this is called Island Magic. No. Again, you've got your percussion and all that. Morricone loved long tracks and cues which build up, and they're slowly got a momentum, but they're very repetitious. This is how he fits so perfectly well with John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter wanted the best composer in the world because Universal gave him money. Don't do your own score, you don't need to. Here's money, go and get a composer of your choice. So he gets Morricone, and what's Morricone do? He listens to all John Carpenter's previous scores and goes, I know what he likes now. And then came up with the same fucking thing. The main theme, Carpenter's like, that's what I would do in my sleep. Listen to this though. So we've got a male choir there. This reminds me of Morricone's main theme to The Humanoid with Richard Keel, the Star Wars rip-off. Not a good film, but a guilty pleasure. Like many would regard The Island, I suppose, but a very hypnotic score. So I was pacing around, going up a hill, marvellous view, loads of other dog walkers around, like, well, not other dog walkers, I'm no longer a dog walker, am I? And all dogs coming over to me and all that, like. Probably because I had a pocket full of katsu chicken left over from last night, and some what you call them? The big fries, whatever they're called, I can't remember now. Big dock and big chips, all wrapped up in silver foil in my pocket, and every dog in a 5 mile vicinity was going dragging their owners up the hills. That was my lunch. But there's something elegant, primal yet elegant about this. And you kind of almost want to, you can see what he's putting across is the camaraderie of the pirates. They're living on an island idyll, but they're trapped in time. They've still got their old ways. They don't want to learn any new ways. Well, okay, Frank Middlemass is trying to teach them this, that and the other, but he finds them fascinating. He's got this deal with them. They let him live because he's given them other victims and plunder. So if you're expecting something wild and a great big crescendo, you're not going to get that. It's just this beautiful, peaceful, ethnic, almost reticent theme. And it kind of lulls you. As pirate films go, it's, totally overlooked. I don't understand people don't like it. And when you read reviews, they're often very scathing. It's all over the show. Tonally, it's adrift. What was Peter Benchley thinking? And it's almost comical in one stage, then it's barbarically nasty in another. But for me, it works. You're getting a view of their lifestyle, and then you've got all the escape attempts by Blair, and there's lots of action. And there's even, I'm sure there's an octopus sequence as well, but it's at night, if I remember rightly. It's a long time since I've seen it. I'm sure there's an octopus bit, and someone gets stung or suckered to death. I suppose it's ripe for a Blumhouse remake. They might even do a prequel to it, showing how they got to the island in the first place. Oh, God. And it would be a female leader of the tribe, played by Jamie Lee Curtis with an eye patch and a cutlass. So the album itself, removed from the movie, is far more moody, far darker, far more sinister, apart from that sequence there, and the main theme, which is so elegiac and beautiful and sort of, it's floaty and melodic. But those rousing, swashbuckling themes, they are not Morricone. I'll put my fucking life on it. God, Kilty, Jesus. What if you're wrong? Well, then I'm wrong. But it's great because Morricone would very often, well, mostly, he wouldn't score to a film. So, you know, a lot of composers, they have their orchestra, they've written all their copious notes and all their soundtrack, their score, and the film is playing in front of the orchestra, so they're watching it and they're playing to the scene in question, which I think is a marvellous way of doing it, obviously, because you're going to get the mood perfectly right, the little nuances, the characters' faces and bits of dialogue. Well, obviously you're not going to hear the dialogue, but the timing will be all part of it, and the mise-en-scene. But Morricone doesn't do that. No, he gets the script of the movie, right, and he gets his ideas, and he's gone now as well, and then he composes. So a lot of his music, directors have to like go, oh, and editors, right, we've got this huge suite of music, I have to put it in here. Things like State of Grace, The Mission, you know, these are huge scores. A lot of the tracks go on forever and ever and ever, but you've got to try and chop it down and fit it into the sequence. So although everyone wanted Morricone to work for them and deliver music for them and for their movies, but it must have been a swine to actually, you know, undertake and this unwieldy gargantuan slice of music. How are we going to fit this in? And like the Untouchables as well. And these are all phenomenal scores, of course. But this, you keep having these little tapping bits of percussion, like bamboo or something like that, you know, hollowed out log. But you get this ominous sense of creeping dread. And once we know what's out there, of course, it's preposterous. Like, so all the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle are down to these pirates. What about the fucking planes? They couldn't take them out, could they? You know, and all the UFO sightings. Well, it's not them, is it? But I think it's a great film. As I say, you can term it as a guilty pleasure. I don't agree. I think it's just bloody good fun. It's blood-curdlingly violent. It's very atmospheric. You've got a great ensemble cast who are having a ball, and you get a taste of what their life really would be like. Because they're adrift. They're not sailing back into ports back in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, you know, and like obviously learning new stuff and maps and whatever, and go to different places. They're stuck there, and it's a decrepit gene pool. A bit like, I don't know, Fury Road, Immortan Joe's bloody place, you know. Stagnant genes and everyone's mutated and warty and horrible, like. Do not become addicted to water. Oh shit. Speaking of which, I've run out of bloody water. So, folks, yeah, we'll get on to the that's the wrong track, damn it. Again, more sort of tension and suspense, which is truly fantastic. But let's go on to here's the main. This is from the end of the movie when this Coast Guard chopper comes over, and there's bodies everywhere. There's even looks like Coast Guard victims as well, and what looks like to be pirates. And the controller's going, say again, did you say pirates or pirates? Pirates. Do you mean oldie weldy pirates? And the film just ends there, like, but you get this lovely main theme. very memorable, very hummable. And that's the thing about Morricone's scores. They stick in your head, you know, and you can regurgitate them, you can hum them, you can tap them out. You get in here and you get in here as well. Pieces like that, you could play that to anyone who knows movies but might not be into scores as much as a lot of us are. You go, who do you reckon composed that? And they're going to go, isn't that Ennio Morricone? You know, it's Ennio Morricone. Get it right. See, again, I suppose people would go like, well, it's such a lovely lyrical melody. It doesn't really work with all the violence and the action that you've got in the movie, and because it bookends the movie. I think it does. It is very 70s, early 80s Morricone. A long phase he was into. And it kind of does evoke the sea. It's kind of the swells, the gentle swells of the sea. Not tempestuous, more measured, peaceful. That's beautiful though, isn't it? There is a sense of sort of a morose sense of tragedy. You've got Blair and his son Justin have got to try to repatriate themselves. His son turned on him, tried to kill him, you know. Each time he tried to make a getaway, his son had set him up, you know. So, okay, you may have survived together, but we're going to have a fucking serious good conversation when we get back. By the way, you see that other side of the ship there? Go on son, have a look at that. Fuck off. But he did buy in the gun. It's beautiful. It's rhapsodic and gorgeous, isn't it? I think I was sitting on a bench on top of a hill when this was playing. In the sun. 1,000 yapping dogs. Like the sea lapping around me. Right, folks? Bit of Mysterioso. We'll end with this. I have been always sure to be Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, this ever buccaneering, piratical in-between time, please keep it Kilty, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all on the high seas. Oh, I know what I was going to say. People always go, why is a Coast Guard ship got a 50 caliber machine gun on it? Well, they do. There's a clue in the name Coast Guard. Isn't that great? It's like, fucking hell. You've got the National Guard, the Air National Guard, and you have the Coast Guard. They don't just rescue people and go on expeditions and to the Galapagos and all that, which they do as well. But they can act to defend the American coastline. And they are armed. They have an armory on board, and they do have they have deck-mounted machine guns. Got to have some kind of firepower, like. Especially when you've been boarded by 50 blood-curdling, bloodthirsty, blood-drunk pirates. A lot of blood in there, wasn't there? Bloody hell! Anyway, that's it, folks. The island. Get it, watch it, enjoy it. It's bloody daft, but it's bloody good fun. There you go. Can't see more than that, can you? And it's got Michael Caine in it. Not a lot of people know that. That was appalling. That was really bad. Of course, he'd done The Swarm. Oh, there's a turkey of a film. And he would do Jaws 4, The Revenge. Oh no. But it's Michael Caine. Let him off. Right, ta-ra.